Imagine the Mediterranean Sea as a giant chessboard between Europe and Africa, with the islands in the middle as chess pieces. Then the 5 biggest pieces will be Sicily, Sardinia, Cyprus, Corsica, and Crete. Sicily and Sardinia are the 2 largest islands in Italy. Corsica is the 2nd largest island in France. Crete is the largest island in Greece, and Cyprus is divided between the Republic of Cyprus in the south and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus in the north. Unlike islands in the Pacific Ocean that remain isolated until the age of exploration, the Mediterranean islands have been at the heart of human civilization since the dawn of time. However, unlike other island groups around the world where many smaller islands are independent nations, only 2 out of the 1,200 Mediterranean islands are sovereign: Malta and Cyprus. Even these 2 became independent only in the 1960s and continue to face all kinds of troubles. But if you have been to these 5 islands, you will realize that these are not some unimportant islands lacking history or culture. Quite the opposite, these islands once wielded immense power and were home to great empires and conquerors. They were once the very centers of empires rather than peripheral territories, and were prized possessions that countless soldiers and battleships died for. Yet today, if you ask people from outside the Mediterranean, almost no one knows anything about them. The only exception might be Sicily, which is better known as the hometown of mafia families in New York, rather than for its historical significance. But since when did these once important Mediterranean islands fade into obscurity? Why are people no longer talking about them? And how did they become mere pawns? In this project, we will make these 5 islands the protagonists and explore the history of the Mediterranean Sea through their lenses. We will travel to Corsica, Sardinia, Sicily, Crete, and Cyprus in that order, reviving ancient memories and studying the critical roles each island has played over the centuries. We will look at the marks left by empires old and new, visit the sites of some of the bloodiest and longest sea battles, and analyze the geography that made these islands so strategically important. We will talk about the religious transformations these islands underwent, shaped by the rise and fall of empires, as well as their involvement in the 2 world wars. Finally, we will discuss the current power dynamics in the Mediterranean, examining the crucial influence these islands have not only for the EU, but also for NATO and Western civilization. Through these 5 islands, we attempt to understand why humanity so often turns crossroads into battlegrounds rather than bridges, and why it seems to be a law of history that every civilization has its own natural cycle, and that the baton of power eventually passes on. The production will take 6 to 9 months with 5 episodes in total. While it won't be too difficult to make, it will definitely be an expensive project. This is the Black Sea, an intersection between Asia and Europe, an inland sea within an inland sea within an inland sea. Bordered by 6 nations: Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, and Georgia, the Black Sea is currently in a state of war. This is not the first conflict fought in the Black Sea. In fact, every major European war over the past 300 years has had something to do with it. While the Mediterranean is much larger, borders more countries, and handles more trade, the Black Sea is the one filled with turmoil and likely to remain a war zone for the foreseeable future. 2 of its 4 shores face ethnic tensions and energy competition. The other 2 shores, Crimea and the Caucasus, are caught up in ongoing conflicts right now. In fact, there have been so many conflicts historically that Turkey has been granted the right to seal off the region when it feels threatened by a war. But why is that? Why has the Black Sea struggled to find peace? In 1883, Jules Verne, one of the best-selling novelists of his time, published Kekhaban le Détu, Kekhaban the Inflexible, one of his lesser-known and most comical works. The story follows a stubborn merchant, Kekhaban, who refuses to pay a newly imposed tax on the Bosphorus Strait. Instead, he decides to travel 700 leagues around the perimeter of the Black Sea to get to his home in Istanbul, all to avoid paying a mere 10 pair tax. While the book is an enjoyable read, it may not be entirely fictional. Some claim Kekhaban was a real person who undertook the journey, and Jules Verne was inspired by his adventure. You see, growing up, I've always looked up to these maniacs willing to risk everything to fight a system they don't believe in. And boy, was Ke Haobang a maniac. Anyway, it's been over 140 years since Jules Verne published that book, and the world has changed dramatically. The empires that once surrounded the Black Sea have all fallen, 2 world wars have been fought, and the global order has shifted. So I thought it would be interesting to retrace Ke Haobang's journey and see the changes in the Black Sea region for myself. I will follow Ke Haobang's route, traveling clockwise around the Black Sea, visiting all 4 shores, and concluding the journey in Istanbul. Along the way, we will explore the rise and fall of the Turks, Romanians, and Slavs, the collapse of the old empires, and the birth of new powers. We will also look at how outsiders are escalating the unrest on all 4 shores, NATO's growing presence, and of course, the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Sitting on the border between Europe and Asia, the Black Sea epitomizes the turbulent history between the 2 continents over thousands of years. While this series cannot predict the future, it will help us identify the recurring patterns of the region, understand what works, what doesn't, what leads to conflict, what resolves it, and what the future might hold. Through the lens of the Black Sea, we aim to answer this question: can a shared sea ever lead to a shared destiny? The production will take 3 to 6 months with 4 episodes, each focusing on one shore of the Black Sea. While it won't be too difficult to make, the cost is certainly on the expensive side. This is the Persian Gulf, the largest single source of petroleum in the world. It holds 30% of the world's oil reserves and 20% of global natural gas reserves. As of 2023, 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas and 25% of seaborne oil trade pass through here. The Gulf countries are among the wealthiest in the world, home to some of the most beautiful buildings on Earth. Money is in the air. Yet, all this wealth, power, and architectural splendor are quite literally built on soft sand, as their existence depends entirely on the opening of one extremely narrow strait, the Hormuz. At its narrowest, the Strait of Hormuz is only 39 kilometers wide, with the actual shipping lanes even narrower. About 3 kilometers for inbound traffic, 3 kilometers for outbound traffic, and a 3-kilometer buffer zone in the middle. Unlike other important choke points, such as the Strait of Malacca or the Panama Canal, where detours are possible, there are no workarounds for the Strait of Hormuz. The Arab states tried building pipelines to transport oil to the Red Sea, but these pipelines simply cannot replace the massive volume that passes through the strait. So Hormuz truly is the throat of the world's energy system, the most critical and, technically, the easiest to close choke point on Earth. The Persian Gulf is surrounded by 8 Muslim countries: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and Oman. 1 Persian country and 7 Arab countries, 6 Sunni majority states, and 2 Shia majority states. And let's just say they don't exactly get along. Since the 1850s, at least 7 major wars have been fought in the Persian Gulf. But unlike other choke points nearby, such as the Suez Canal and the Turkish Straits, which have been closed multiple times by Egypt and Turkey, the Strait of Hormuz has never been closed. In theory, whoever controls Hormuz controls the Gulf, which should give Oman and Iran significant influence over the region, but this couldn't be further from the reality. Despite having absolute control over the strait geographically and militarily, neither Oman nor Iran dares to close it. But why is that? How has the most critical and easiest to close choke point in the world never been closed? And more importantly, how have these 8 countries, with so many disagreements, managed to maintain peace in the Strait of Hormuz? For this project, we will visit all the Gulf nations and explore both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. We will talk about the dramas among royal families, the Gulf Wars, the agreements between Iran and Oman, the role Islam plays in the Gulf, and how outside powers try desperately to de-escalate tensions at this choke point. Ultimately, through the Strait of Hormuz, we will explore a contrasting scenario to the Black Sea region: how a shared strait led to a shared destiny, and how peace is sometimes achieved not through love, but through mutual dependence and vulnerability. The production of this series will take 3 to 6 months, with 3 episodes in total. The difficulty and cost will depend on the stability of the Middle East. This is Southeastern Europe, home to 7 South Slavic nations: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, Bulgaria, and North Macedonia. Together, they cover a combined land area of about 367,000 square kilometers and have a population of 28.9 million. This is Central Europe, home to 3 vast Slavic nations: Poland, Czechia, and Slovakia. Together, they span about 440,600 square kilometers and have a population of 54.6 million. And this is Eastern Europe, home to 3 East Slavic nations: Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia. Combined, they have a land area of 4,771,100 square kilometers and a population of 160.5 million. Altogether, these 13 Slavic nations occupy 55% of Europe and make up a third of its population. Yet, despite controlling such vast territory, having such a large population, and being so close culturally, religiously, and genetically, no people seem more divided than the Slavic nations. Among these 13 countries, the number of wars fought and still being fought is staggering. From the medieval period to the present day, wars among the Slavs have never ended. There have been multiple Polish-Russian wars, the Polish-Czechoslovak War, the Balkan Wars, World War I, the Yugoslav Wars, the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian War, and many more. As a result, unity in the Slavic universe is almost non-existent. This begs the question, why are the Slavs always at war with each other? For this project, we will visit these Slavic nations, traverse the vast Balkan Mountains, and walk along the great Danube River to explore the Slavic universe and spend time with the Slavic people, children of both Europe and Asia. We want to understand what brought them together, what fractured them, and the challenges they face today. We will discuss the differences between the West, East, and South Slavs, how the West Slavs became Catholic, the East Slavs became Orthodox, and how some South Slavic groups embraced Islam and Judaism. We will look at the legacy of empires, the origins of shifting borders and overlapping claims, how the Soviets tried to unify the Slavs under communism only to deepen the divides, and the details of Balkans' many waves of Balkanization. We will also examine how sometimes similarity intensifies rivalry, how the long Slavic memories of conquest, betrayal, and deep wounds are passed down, keeping conflicts alive long after their original causes have faded, and how external powers have been exploiting the divisions among the Slavs. Through the Slavic universe, we will highlight a unique phenomenon: how the closest families can sometimes become the bitterest enemies. The production will take anywhere from 6 to 12 months with 4 episodes. The cost and difficulty level will be high as we will be traveling to more than one war zone. This is the most populous and the 7th largest country on Earth, India, a nation with 1.45 billion people and about 3.3 million square kilometers of land area. When it comes to nation building, 2 things matter the most: size and timing. India has vast, fertile land and a massive, useful population. Size is not a problem. In terms of timing, this is the 21st century, a time of revolutionary progress in technology, medicine, global connectivity, and social justice across the world. However, when you visit India, you may find the reality quite different from what you expect. The illiteracy rate remains high, poverty is widespread, food hygiene is poor, corruption is rampant, and the status quo seems unlikely to change in the foreseeable future. But why is this? India has been independent for nearly 80 years. Other countries in East and Southeast Asia, which share a similar colonial past, have advanced far beyond India in every aspect. And it's not as if India was never powerful. The Maurya Empire defeated the Greeks, the Delhi Sultanate beat the Mongols, the Mughal Empire developed a strong economy, and the Maratha Empire established a formidable navy. From the giant Buddha in Japan to the Neaston Temple in the UK, from the invention of zero to the game of chess, Indian culture is everywhere across the globe. But why is a nation with such a rich civilization, a proud history, exceptional geography, and abundant manpower struggling to prosper? I believe the answer lies in the shadows of 10 iconic cities in India: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Chennai, Kolkata, Kochi, Amritsar, and Varanasi. These cities are home to 10 ethnic groups that speak 10 mutually unintelligible languages: Marathi, Hindi, Kannada, Telugu, Gujarati, Tamil, Bengali, Malayalam, Punjabi, and Sanskrit. To truly understand the challenges India faces, we must first understand these cities and their complexities. For this project, we will visit all 10 cities to uncover their stories. We will live with the locals, learn their views on other peoples in India, and immerse ourselves in their cultures, languages, and religions. We will visit not only temples and mosques, but also tech hubs, busy ports, and thriving commercial centers. While we will discuss India's colonial past, the focus of this series will be on the internal conflicts India faces, such as caste alliances within the political parties, regionalism in Punjab, Nagaland, and Kashmir, the stark inequalities that persist, and more. We will confront the harsh truths of India, a civilization of civilizations, where each region could almost be its own country, where more is less is a daily reality, and where no cure can be found in the near future. Through the lens of these 10 cities, we study how diversity, multiculturalism, and democracy, something the West has been celebrating for decades, could potentially cripple a great nation. The production will take 12 to 18 months with 5 episodes in total. It will be a very challenging and expensive project to make.